always saying this and doing all these videos? I mean, because I want people to know that this stuff exists on earth. When your little girl or your little son tell you they talking to things in the light, they're not lying to you. You better listen to them. Those things live in the light. I showed you in the videos, those spaceships are emanations of God, of our universal creator. That's what they are. All technology that comes to the earth comes as light technology from the sun. And the sun has been showing everyone on this planet that if you want somebody that's smart to be on your team, it's this guy right here, because I'm going to tell him things that I will never tell anyone else. And I'll be seeing things in my head that I can build. You know, when I was working in my shop, I was building shit that was coming out different than the way I was trying to build it, and I was getting frustrated. I was saying, this is not what I tried to build. And then I looked at it and said, but wait, it worked better though. That was spirit. The spirit was overriding what I was trying to do. When I was pulling my measurements, I knew I was pulling the right numbers, but for some reason, it still wouldn't work. And I was saying, why did I keep coming up with this? And then when I really looked at it, I said, oh, this is better. That's why. So see, that's what I'm working with. You see? And that's the reason why I was sent here, to have interactions with the people of the earth. You're not supposed to be looking at me like I'm some damn freak or somebody you're supposed to be afraid of. That's ridiculous. Okay? I mean, come on now. What about me? What? Because you've seen the sun a million times, and then all of a sudden, I come and tell you that I'm the son of the sun, and there's something wrong with that. I mean, all the plants and everything else on the planet is governed by the sun. So why shouldn't I be? Because somebody gave you the Jesus story and fooled you with that, you're going to run with that. But when it comes to me, I'm just going to have to give you the real facts. That ain't the truth. You ain't never going to see Jesus, but you better hope that sun rises tomorrow. Guarantee you that. So, you know, the thing went on with the movie thing and all that crazy stuff that went on there, and they fired my ass and deleted me out of the damn movie. And then I was dealing with that freaking depression for a long time. That really hurt it. I mean, you guys, I had some badass shit in that movie. We really worked on that stuff, and it was nice and it was good. And them bastards cut me off the movie. Ooh, mother. See, that's why I use so much for family. But I'm trying to. Like them little white ladies told me that night. Those little white ladies got me started. They don't even know what they was doing. I think they did know, but I didn't know. I was like, what are you ladies doing back there? They, the vibrations are so good back here. And so, you know, it's not a joke. It's really, it is what it is. So I just found myself studying these books. I was in Hawaii, and all the mysticism started coming around me, and people popping up out of nowhere talking to me about Egypt, and did you know that, and about Bali, and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there like, no, I didn't know that. And I'm like, word? Yeah, okay. And so I've got a real fascination for the study of the netters. And I started studying all the netters. And not all of them, because it's like over 100. But you know what's funny? The netters that I ended up with statues of are all the netters that are a unique family. And I have all of them. And they were unique right in the Asar's. Asar demonstration of dynamics. And so that really worked out really special for me when I seen that somewhere the choreography of mine deities that was available where I was buying them at in LA. I brought them due mostly to availability, but the universe made those things show up with a specific synonymous pattern that I could find them related in a book to each other. Like for instance, I brought Ptah, the god Ptah, by himself one day, and then I went back later and brought the god Sekhmet. And I brought her home, and I set her next to Ptah, and I was looking at them together, and I thought, oh, wow, they make a good couple with each other. And do you know, I started reading about Sekhmet and found out that she was actually Ptah's wife. I was like, damn, ain't that a trip? And I didn't know that. But somewhere inside of me spiritually, I put those two together without knowing. You get what I'm saying? So that's the way this spirit thing works. It can make my mother and father get together and coochie with each other, and then my ass pop out, you know? Now, I'm 52 years old, and I swear to you guys, my ass can ball up into a ball like I am 7 years old. You know how when you was a little kid, you used to do all kind of weird shit like this? Can you do that now? I can. I be doing all kind of shit. I wake up with my feet up in the air, and I be like, what are you doing like that? I don't know, huh? It's the spirit inside of me. I read in the book that they make you take on godly postures because the postures open up vibrations inside of you so you can be able to have contact with a more broad dynamic of experiences through these things because they can materialize and dematerialize. I see them do that all the time. I mean, they can. And sometimes they can be quite frightening. Yes, they can. Because you might not be in the mood to see something just pop up like that. And then, of course, with all of the Steven Spielberg movies and Stephen King and everybody, anything that's unusual is supposed to be, if you will, adversity. You know, that's the true acceptance of us today. What you don't know about, don't talk to strangers and all that stuff, as to where the only way that you don't be strangers to someone is that you become friends with them. So by telling someone to not talk to strangers, you are inviting a society of people that don't trust each other. So it's all these type of teachings that has been introduced to us that have to be sliced away. You know what I'm saying? Because they are stagnant to our society. And all you people out there that think that because you're eating good today, you're not going to have to go down the same horrible road of degeneracy and deprivilege as all the people that you send down that road, you are very wrong. Now, do I believe that somewhere I might have did something to make myself have to be the person that's in the position that I'm in right now? Without a doubt. Because I would be a hypocrite to try to say that the rules does not apply to me. But my circumstances are not all that bad, you see, because I have a unique connection with the sun that I know will provide for me and give me prosperity as well as adversity according to what I merit by my behavior. So my grand approach all day is to try to keep it my eye, which I know I'm not doing when I use profanity, but I have to use profanity because sometimes that's the only way I can vent all the built up anger out of me. And as long as I don't vent it out of me, I'm having a very bad disruptive occurrence done to my body. So I have to sometimes, and I don't want to just not give it to someone. I like to direct it to someone that it could be most useful on, and that will be you, because you're not watching these segments that I put out here after all this time if you're not benefiting from them. Otherwise you would have tuned out a long time ago. And I'm glad that you're still here, and I'm sure that there's more people that's going to be tuning in, because this is a spirit type of arrangement more than anything else. So that's the whole purpose of me taking the time out to do this, okay? Not to mention that I don't want the sun to burn that ass up, okay? That too, which I really believe that if I did not comply and gave the sun a reason to, let's say for instance, after all this, I decide I'm not going to do anything. I'm sure that the sun would say, listen, we did not come this far for you to stop and get tired. Now, even though your ass is tired, you get your ass up and you go down there and you go do what I told you to do. And most of the people that I make contact with is people that spirit tells me to make contact with. So all you people out there in big positions to make change, you better understand, don't get fooled by this personification. You better be dealing with the overall dynamics of our universe, the spiritual energy that makes the tree grow, the spiritual energy that makes the rain fall, the spiritual energy that made you have an encapsulation inside of your mother's vagina. That is the spiritual energy that has sent me here to this realm of time and space to do some repair for it. Now, the sustainment that's necessary for me while I'm here is going to have to be rendered to me through the kindness and the generosity of you controllers. You guys have all of the wealth here, and I know that, and so does the sun. So if you don't comply, I guarantee you that the sun is going to kill you. And then when you die, the person who takes your place is going to get a visit from me. And then that person is probably going to comply. So do yourself a favor and don't let your circumstance get that bad. And hey, listen, in case you don't right now believe, let me say this to you. You cannot afford to not believe, okay? Because what that means is that my ass becomes homeless, okay? And that means that it's going to be obvious to the universe that somebody think that this is a joke. And I'm not really sure that, excuse me. Hey, brother. You made it home?
I had to go pull a permit for my company.
Oh, you did?
So now I'm back in the car.
Oh, word. Yeah, I forgot what we was talking about. You should remind me.
You know, just in general. I mean, about, you know, unfooling the fools.
Yeah. I was just dropping. Well, I was just.
Tricky thing, man.
Let me ask you a question. With your knowledge of the sun and how it works and everything, had you not been equipped with that predisposition of the sun before I showed you the segment that I showed you with the light when I took that picture, what would you have thought about that? Say that you had no knowledge of the sun being a god and everything. If you was just a regular Joe, Jesus worshiper that saw that, what would you think about it?
If I had no knowledge of it,
right.
Yeah, I would probably think like the rest of these Christians. They say that they would never worship the sun. They believe in Jesus, brother.
So you mean?
I mean, I remember when this dude was telling me something about Jesus was a punk one time before I had the knowledge. I wanted to whoop his ass. They had to hold me back.
He told you that Jesus was a fag?
No, he said Jesus was a punk because of some shit he was saying. But to me, it was like, dude, you disrespecting God. I mean, I wanted to whip his ass.
Oh, believe me, I know. I've been there. I had people wanted to step off into my ass too for that.
So I mean, I'll tell you what I told my cousin one time. My cousin, I mean, not my cousin, my daughter's cousin. Him and my daughter and me were at El Pollo Loco, but you know, I just eat I eat mine just beans and rice. But they eat chicken, and I'm okay with that. I don't trip on my daughter eating chicken. So, right when we sit down, her cousin says, you know, my daughter started eating. So her cousin looks at us and goes, "Hey, y'all not gonna pray?" And then my daughter looked at me. I looked at her. We looked at him. We was like, "Well, if you want to pray, go ahead. You know, that's fine with us. It's not gonna bother us if you pray, you know."
Right.
So then he said, "Well, y'all not gonna pray with me?" And I was like, "Well, why would I want to pray?" You know, I said, "Why do I want to pray?" He said, "So God will bless your food." I said, "Well, I know what I'm eating. I know what to eat and what not to eat. That's gonna hurt my body." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so then he said, "Well, you know, just you know, get some respect or something for God for giving you the food." And I was like, "Well, I bought this myself. I worked hard and spent my money, you know."
Right.
And then he was like, "Well, what, you don't believe in God?" I said, "Yeah, I believe in God." I said, "I just don't feel like I have to praise somebody for what I'm doing."
Right.
And he was like, "Man, I don't get it." So he kind of like scratched his head. And I said, "Look, man, I'm putting it to you like this. why do you believe in Jesus? He said, because Jesus can do anything. I said, he can do anything? He said, yeah, Jesus can do anything. I said, well, I tell you what, let's try an experiment. I want you to pray right now to Jesus that I can't stop, that you want Jesus to stop me from slapping you in the head. And let me know when you get done. And then he said, well, his face was all frowned up. He said, well, man, I don't think that's going to work. I said, well, what are you telling me? Jesus can't stop me from slapping you in the head? I said, well, that don't sound like something you should believe in. And then he started really scratching there like, God damn, I can't believe this is fantasy. So I told him, I said, look, man, let me tell you something that's going to really help you. Some facts. You know?
Some facts, what do you mean?
He looked at me and said, you know what, I think you're right. You know? And my whole point is I mean, I don't become like argumentative or this or that. I just lead them into thinking about it for themselves. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so that they can get a glimpse and go, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. I never looked at it that way. You know? And like I say, just plant those little seeds and it'll grow on its own. You know, ain't nothing else to talk about. Like the seed, let it grow.
Yeah. Well, I feel you. I'm glad you shared that with me, man, because that's really good. That's real good. But now, see, that's the dynamics of faith, though.
But that's what I mean when I say make it simple. You know, simple should be something to where a person ain't got no way for him to not be able to argue with you, and then just go, God damn. You know, like the other day, I was with my girl's brother, and because, I mean, like, the first time I met him, I was just blunt with him. For some reason, he was just so struck with the Bible that I decided to be blunt with him. I said, you know what, man, I don't want to hear nothing about that stuff. He's like, whoa, I'm talking about God. I said, yeah, I feel you. So I allowed him to believe I was the devil. I was the Antichrist, because that's what he was calling me. So then, up until that, it's been like 4 or 5 months he's been thinking this. So then, the last few days, right, I think it was Thanksgiving actually, I was over there, and I was sitting in his room trying to help him set up his PlayStation, and he started asking me about God again. I said, look, man, I never told you I didn't believe in God. I said, all I told you is that the way, you know, people believe in it is not actually accurate. And he goes, well, how can you say stuff like that and blah, blah, blah? And I go, listen, man, I said, I'm going to put it to you just like this. I said, I want you to watch this Bill Gates DVD. So I showed him a Bill Gates on YouTube talking about his genocide, genocide plan. You know, talking about eugenics as far as like you know, that people need to be eradicated so global warming will stop. He said people is the problem.
Right.
So when he saw that, he was like, wow, I never knew that Bill Gates was so cold. He said, that's straight up evil. And I was like, of course that's evil, to try to kill people with prenatal, you know, vitamins and vaccines. Of course that's evil as fuck. You thinking they trying to help you. He said, that's fucked up. I said, now understand this. Now that you kind of get a glimpse of how people can smile in your face and act like they pretend to help you but really trying to kill you, I said, understand this. They did the same thing with religion. And he was like, what? And I was like, think about this, man. I said, think about this for 1 minute. Who's greater than God? And he was like, well, nobody. I said, nobody? Said nobody. I said, well, now how come you listen to a man who changed God's version of his word? He goes, what you mean? I said, well, the book say the word God, right? He's like, yeah. I said, well, how is it that you believe in the book where King James decided to make his own version, like God's version wasn't good enough? He said, no. He said, I never looked at it that way.
Well, why not? They say... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So then he was like, well, wait a minute. Why did God let that happen? And I just started cracking up. Like, what you mean, why did God let that happen? He said, but you know what? I don't have a King James version. Mine is by someone else. I said, Bob, who wrote yours? Who wrote the version you got? So he picked it up and looked at it and said, oh my God. He said, how long has this been going on? I just started cracking up.
You had to point that out to him, huh?
Yeah, he was finally starting to get what I was saying.
So how many versions is there altogether, do you think, that you have kept count of yourself, that you know for a fact to be in existence?
They got King James, they got New International, they got what's the one being all the hotels, the Gideon.
Gideon, yeah.
They got the Mormons got their own.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what you call it. And then of course they got the Septuagint. They got the Coptic. And I mean, there's probably a good 80 to 90 more. You know,
and that's ridiculous that it could be so many versions of a book and people is not wise enough to know that it's got to be some hypocrisy there.
Well, what's funny is, when I was telling my daughter that, like, how can man write a book, you know, and everybody's stuck on that book man wrote rather than what God wrote. Then she found out that the Bible that from the church that her mom tried to take her to, the pastor and his wife wrote the one they go to church with. I said, God damn, that's fucked up.
Wow.
You know? But I mean, these people supposed to be ordained. You know what I'm saying? And all it is just a gatekeeper of the dead. You know, I'm gonna help keep you dead and get this money. You know, in return, tax free. That's my reward for keeping your ass dead. They know they gatekeepers.
Okay, now listen to this. Listen to this, Radiance. That's what my whole sermons is about. My whole sermons is I'm trying to get the people to see the fact that we are all rehearsing dead arrangements. Look, the God is dead.
Yeah, but you beating the horse. You beating the dead horse. It's not like you gotta teach me nothing. I mean, for the most part, like I say, it's really about you right now. Don't worry about nobody else. Get your relationship with my, you know what I'm saying, one-on-one to the point to where, you in in other words, like it takes a certain amount of humbleness to really be in the spirit. And so, I mean, you just got to work on your own psychology, or should I say personality in a way, to where, you know, you can really find that peace within yourself so that you can connect with mine, so that you can receive higher intuition. Because intuition all deals with your vibration. And if your vibration ain't fast enough, then you can't pick up the intuition in higher vibration. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you got to really be able to, like, meditate, kick back, and work on cameo. Don't worry about nobody else. And then, I guarantee you, when you have that shining example of my eye, everybody will want to know what the hell you into. That's when they come walking up to you asking questions. You know what I mean? But I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know that we having the problems that we have in our society because everybody don't know what we know. But for the most part, everybody ain't gonna know. I mean, we can talk till we blue in the face. I mean, we had all these leaders that came before us and died and gave their blood, sweat, tears, and people still for the same fucking shit.
Yeah, I know.
So I mean, it boils down to a certain realization that for the most part, everybody ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't gonna make it at all. And I mean, and if we're talking about you know, manifesting for all and living, you know, forever, we know everybody ain't gonna make that. So I mean, the whole point about it is just to it's the show. You know what I mean? In other words, nobody wants to follow something that they can't see. You know, so the people seeing is believing. So we gotta be that best example. You know what I mean? And that's all we can do is work on ourselves to do that and just and stay focused on what we doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then and like I say, what I do is I give people a little bit of a cliche here, a little bit of a philosophy there, and plant seeds. You know, and then when I see them people again, they smile and they can't wait for the next seed. You know, and I mean, I didn't start out doing it that way. It's just that trial and error made me see it that way. Because I couldn't do it the way I was doing it before. You know.
Yeah.
And like I say, believe me, if it was up to me, I would open up everybody's head and dump this knowledge in immediately. You know, if I could do it in one day. And don't get me wrong, that's the only reason I haven't put an album out. It's because in my mind, it's got to be a one-hitter quitter. So don't think I'm not working on it. It's just I ain't done. You know, and I mean, but it's got to be something that's going to, really change the people. Like I say, most of the stuff we've been talking about, we've beating a dead horse. We've been talking about this stuff for over 60 years now. You know what I mean? We didn't have music artists singing about it. Earth, Wind, and Fire, all these different people, that sang about it in the past when it went right over our heads. And I mean, just like that, what we saying now is going over people's heads. And I mean, some kind of way we got to come up with a better verbal prescription. And lately, what I've been coming up with is that a verbal prescription ain't gonna do it. Somebody got to be the example, and then only the example can get people to follow that. I mean, because a black man don't want to follow nothing because he feel like he the shit. So once you manifest and this black man sees power, then of course he gonna want the same power, and that's how you gonna get people to want to change their lives and want to straighten up and get their temples clean and want to understand what it takes to achieve for nobody. But right now, nobody gives a shit. They happy with pussy, drugs, some weed, some shoot 'em up, bang bang in a movie, and that's it. I mean, as far as some people are concerned, they know all they need to know, and everything else is just bullshit. So I mean, like I said, you just gotta keep it simple and plain, and don't take it personally when people don't get it, because it's not your fault they're that way in the first place. But just like you got it, eventually they'll get it. I'm not saying everybody, but eventually, they'll get it. They may not get it the first time. Like I said, it took my sister like 3 years to finally start listening. Like when I was trying to tell her about preservatives causing cancer. I mean, you'll be surprised the aptitude of some of the people that we think are very intelligent. Like I told a few people that, what's the difference between a tomato being able to sit on the counter and a bottle of ketchup being able to sit on the counter? Why does a bottle of ketchup last longer? It's preservatives. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they always thought that preservatives were something good for them. But that's my whole point. I mean, like I say, you're dealing with somebody who's been fooled so bad that the only way to unfool them is to fool them. Because if you can't fool them back into the knowledge, like I say, talking logically ain't gonna work. They didn't. I mean, talking logically, we can, me and you can, we both can walk up to some church Sunday, pick anybody in there, and talk to them within an hour, giving them all the logic we got, and they'll still go, in the end, I'm going to believe in Jesus anyway, just in case y'all wrong. Because it's hard to erase years and years and years of programming. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the only way to really do it is to, when you fool a person, it's almost like putting a virus in there, because you want the program to do something it wasn't programmed to do.
Yeah.
And so when you can get them to finally see a little pinhole of light, and you see that their eyes widen up and they go, oh my God, I mean, that's as far as you need to take it. That's the lesson for the day. That's it. Don't give them nothing else to think about, because their mind is so mundane that all you're going to do is make them forget what you told them. They ain't going to think about none of that. They're going to be confused and be like, yeah, that must have been a crazy man. So what I normally do is leave it to like one cliche, and that's it. That's all they get for the day, And then, like I said, eventually, they'll come around. Now, if you get somebody walking up to you going straight up, man, just tell me, because I've had that happen twice. Man, just tell me, man, fuck, just tell me. And what was crazy is that the two people that just asked me that way bluntly understood, and you can see it in their face. It's like they have been studying, unable to put the pieces together, and then when you talking and their mind goes, oh my God, it's like they linking up what you're saying with what they've been studying, but now putting it in perspective, putting it in chronological order and actually looking at it, going, ain't this a bitch, but that only happened twice. Everybody else, I had to fool them, man. There was no other way to get them to get the knowledge. I had to fool them.
I got you.
So, like I say, you should have seen my daughter's cousin's face when he said, I don't think that's going to work. Play that Jesus taught me.
What did he say? He didn't think it was going to work? What'd you trade? Radiance. All right, he gone again. So yeah, I just wanted to let him put some of his input out there because that's one of my. I used to talk with him a lot when I lived in Los Angeles. Now that I don't live there anymore, I've lost a lot of contact with him. He's real busy. He got a lot of stuff going on. But he's real knowledgeable. He's calling back. Hotel. So yeah, man, I was listening to all that you were saying, and it was all and iful. You know, I'm like I'm intrigued for real, and I wanted to